Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 11. I'm your instructor Zia Hamid. I hope that you're doing well. Students, today we will talk about our unit number 4 according to the book. This is our lecture 4B and this is all about your oral competency. It means we are focusing on a kind of communication which is verbal communication or oral communication. And in order to enhance and elevate your oral competency, today we will talk about some discussion prompts, and I will wait for you to interact and leave your comments as well. So students who are listening to us online on the Zoom class, you can type your answers in the comment. You can actually unmute yourself and participate in the lecture. All right. So today we have these two learning outcomes serving the same purpose of oral communication. First one is respond to questions on a range of communicative purposes. And secondly, we have to demonstrate attentive listening skills while working in groups and taking turns to speak with standard pronunciation. So let's break down the first learning outcome where we have to respond to questions. And how do we respond? Verbally. Verbal response, oral response is what we are talking about. And we know that communication is done for different purposes. There are different purposes of communicating. So for every purpose, if we are posed a question, we should be able to respond to that question in the same manner and in the same kind of medium. And here we have oral communication. And second SLO here, where we have to demonstrate, practice, and show our listening skills. And these skills are talking about attentive listening, which is very critical and important. Now, you can do it while working in groups, group discussions, or GDs, and also take care of taking turns while speaking so that you can speak and listen simultaneously to make the flow of the communication better. And we have to also take care of our pronunciation, which means saying the words correctly as it should be said according to English conventions and standards that are established. So all these things can be very much helpful in our oral competency or oral communication. So these are the two learning outcomes. We will focus on attentive listening skills and we will see what are the various purposes for which we communicate. All right. Now, here goes your vertical linkage. And for the brainstorming, students, you know that communication is all about practice. If you want to learn the English language, you have to seize every opportunity to speak it whenever you get time or any kind of opportunity. So you have to speak up and use the learning language which we are learning, that is under discussion, English language. So you have to actually be very much expressive and communicative in that language. So for that purpose, till now, you can pause the video if you're watching on YouTube. We have a discussion prompt for you. You can do it with groups or also in pairs. It says, now you have to talk about this. What is something you are excited about right now? Now, use your adjectives, use verbs, try to speak, do not be hesitant, and use correct kind of tense. So till now, whether we are learning grammar or vocabulary, these are now going to work in your communication. And you have to make it fluid and also in a very good flow. So talk about this discussion prompt. Have a good 5 to 10 minutes of discussion and we can move on. All right, I hope you have done it. Now, when we are talking about listening, this is actually a process. Yes, we have to make a very good effort in order to be good listeners. And every time the process is the same and it has to be full of effort. This is different from hearing, where you're just hearing and not processing the message. When we are listening to a debate, a speech, any oratory, any discussion, or when we are gaining knowledge, learning about new information, when somebody is teaching us, or when we are watching some things on video platforms, when we are listening to any audio, now we want to understand the message, and so that we can respond to the message in an effective way. If the question is asked, now you have to respond to it according to the question. So we want to be attentive listeners. It means that your attention should be on the speaker or on the audio. And you do not do any of the other stuff, just focus on the person who is speaking. So let's talk about the process first. First, you hear something, you start attending to it, paying your attention fully, and understand it, and then respond to it. Remember the whole conversation back and forth of speaking and listening. Remember it, and then you start the circle, and it will go on and on. So this is a very normal kind of surface level understanding of listening process. So when we are talking about communication, students, we are encoding a message through our words, and the listener then decode the message. So encoding and decoding, this is the very basic concept of listening. All right. Now, why do we listen? We listen for different purposes. For example, right now you're listening to me because you want to gain knowledge and you want to educate yourself. So this is your purpose of listening to this video lesson right now. But there are other purposes as well. So number one is informational listening, where you're listening to get information, gather facts, figures, statistics, and all the relevant data that are factual. Then you listen to put forward your interpretation, your criticism. So this is what we call critical listening, where you're listening to evaluate or analyze the whole speech or the whole message. The purpose is to critically listen. For example, if you are presenting something before the class, your teacher is actually critically listening to you, to evaluate you, to do your assessment, and to analyze your whole presentation and performance. Now, emphatic listening is understanding emotions or feelings. If somebody is expressing something sad, something happy, or any event, then you have to show empathy and your sympathy while you're listening to people who are expressing their fears, their happiness, their good or bad day. So this is for everyday life that is happening all the time. So because we want others to listen to us, that's why we should also listen to them, and it should be parallel. Now, these are the three purposes that we need to understand for what, because these are the purposes for why we are listening. We are listening to gain information or to get education. We listen for critically analyzing the speech or the message, and we listen for showing empathy and human being qualities towards the speaker. And obviously, you have to console the person, you have to share the happiness, you have to make them comfortable. That's why you will also talk. So this will go on back and forth, and you have to take your listening skills and speaking skills simultaneously in oral communication. So I hope that the whole purpose is very much clear. Now, students, let us talk about some types of listening. Now, for information, you are listening to perceive information, to get information about any kind of subject or topic. It requires no criticism or judgment because you are learning, you are gaining information. Then we are listening to focus on the key points. So when we are listening for information, these are the things that should be taken care of. Then we listen critically. for critical evaluation. It requires understanding, looks for evidence that support the arguments, and check for logical reasoning. This is mostly in debates and discussions. Now, we also listen to appreciate. And to appreciate, we are talking about listening for entertainment. Does not involve analyzing. When we are entertaining ourselves, when we are listening to appreciate some form of art, some form of performance, entertainment in the form of movies or TV shows, etc., we are actually listening for relax and to get entertainment, to pass the time, to pass the leisure time. Next, we have emphatic listening, where we are focusing on the speaker's emotion. Now, when you are focusing on the emotion, you are also taking care of the non-verbal cues that you see the speaker is expressing, the body language, expression, and all of them. It allows the listener to see another point of view. So, when we are listening for empathy purposes, we are trying to understand and try to understand the other person's feelings and emotions without being judgmental. So these are all the different purposes, and you do this daily, students. It is very much common, but we do not pay attention to that. If we want to be attentive listeners, then in all these types, we must be very much focused, and we should know that why we are listening, and we should listen to it accordingly, according to these points that I have shared with you. All right. Now, here is a discussion prompt. It is highly debatable. You can talk about it, and it could be a very long discussion. So, is listening to a book just as good as reading it? What do you think about it? Are books only meant to be read, or can you listen to the book as well if somebody else is narrating it to you, like audiobooks? Or do you prefer hard books or paperbacks? So what do you think? Yes, we can ignite a very good discussion and debate on this topic. So by now, you can pause the video, talk about it, make pairs or groups, and then talk about this discussion prompt. And clear your stance or agenda. What are you standing for? Are you standing for that books should not be listened to, they should only be read? Or are you of the side that books are it's a very good way of listening to books instead of reading them? So you can talk about this prompt very quickly and come back. We have another discussion prompt. Did you know bringing sustainable lighting to communities is the goal of Litter of Light Pakistan? This project open sources a simple and innovative technology to create affordable solar light bulbs. Volunteers teach communities how to use recycled plastic bottles and locally sourced materials to assemble the bulbs to light up homes with limited or no access to electricity. Now, this is a project that is happening in Pakistan. Now, imagine that you are going to talk about it. What do you think? Are they doing a good work? How is this work going to be beneficial for different communities? Now, you can talk about this discussion, and you can make it like a debate or do group discussions, or also you can conversate about it with your peer or your fellow. All right. Now, students, we are here at the end. Now, we talked about responding to questions and attentive listening skills. This worksheet is very much helpful. It talks about 5 strategies for responding to different questions, especially when you don't know the answer. Then what are you supposed to do? You're going to learn some tricks and techniques so that you can answer any question that is posed, so that you can answer that really well. So this worksheet is very much helpful. It is attached with the resources. You can get this PowerPoint presentation as well. You can get the video and also the worksheet that is attached. So thank you so much, students. Now I would ask you to practice as much as you can. Find out different prompts, talk about them in groups, record yourself, record the video or the audio of this discussion by taking permission, of course, and then practice as much as you can. We have given you some prompts to talk about, so you can start doing it right now. Be attentive listeners, be respectful, let the other person finish his or her sentence, take care of the turn taking, and also focus on pronunciation as well. So all of these things combined can be it can be evaluated or assessed by your teacher and mark you accordingly. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.